Hello and welcome back to another episode of the world famous preview show. Today I am delighted to be joined by Sepp Kuss of Team Jumbo-Visma as we go and have a look at Catalunya, one of the best week-long stage races in the whole calendar. Sepp, thanks for coming on. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. Thanks for having me, David. Just up here in Andorra at the moment. It's maybe one of the last we'll see, last snowfalls of the spring, but I think the weather looks okay for the race next week, so keeping an eye on things up here.
Cool. And brilliant news broke today that you've committed to another 3 years with the team. That's awesome.
Yeah, really excited that I can stay with the team, and perfect place for me to keep growing, keep developing, and I also have a lot of fun with everybody on the team, so really happy.
Cool. Right, okay, let's dive straight in. So we'll get VeloViewer on the go and we will take a look. So first stage is Calella. You can probably pronounce it better than me, Sepp. How is your Spanish?
Calella.
Is it good? Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah.
Okay, I am purely holiday Spanish. So
nothing wrong with that.
So you can help us as we go along here, right? So
yeah.
Calella, normal first stage in Catalunya. We've got a climb in the central section. The climb is not overly difficult. And sometimes we get a sprint finish. Sometimes we get a breakaway. Thomas de Gent won here a couple of years back. Do you know the roads around this region?
Yeah, pretty well. Actually, yeah, this winter I was based more or less outside of Barcelona, so the last climb of the Costa Creo I know pretty well. The descent is pretty tricky. It can be pretty slick. So it's tricky in the end, but luckily, I think overall it's a sprint stage.
Yeah, luckily the forecast just now is for nice weather. I'm glad you mentioned it because I remember Movistar really kind of ripping it in previous years. As soon as it's get wet, that descent is quite tricky, but should be sprint stage or breakaway without featuring any of the big guys. Stage 2, the D-Day for you, it's the time trial. So we've got 18 kilometers, 18.6 kilometers, which is quite a lengthy time trial. What are you thinking about this one?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of everything. For me, it's obviously better than just a totally flat TT. There's a lot of kind of rhythm changes in there, more in the beginning. And yeah, it's been a little while since I've ridden in Banyoles, but when I lived in Girona, I knew most of those roads. So yeah, it's pretty up and down. And then yeah, when you get onto that big road, it's kind of a mental battle, and around the lake can be pretty fast. But
how's the new bike? We've seen quite a few of the guys go really fast on the Cervelo. Have you had much practice yourself on the new TT bike?
Yeah, the bike's great. Over the winter, we did some aero testing, and I was in a new position through UAE, and it was the position was decent, but I couldn't put any any power down, which is a problem when you can't put any power down in the first place on a TT bike. So since then, changed a bit, and yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, I can do a bit better TT, limit the damage, and just be within reach of the better TT guys.
And then we've got the two big stages. So first up, stage 3, we have Volta 2000, which is quite a well-known climb for this race. Crucially, it goes over 2,000 meters. It goes up to 2,126 meters above sea level. you are fairly well known as a rider who goes well in high altitude, coming from where you do in the States. What is it like? Do you find yourself performing better when it goes up to kind of the 2,000-meter mark?
I think so. For me, I just don't notice it as much, I guess. Like back home, that would be the the lowest elevation you can go at the top. So it's not so noticeable. I for me it's an advantage, but I think nowadays there's everybody trains at altitude. Half the peloton is from Colombia, so maybe it's not an advantage anymore.
Because I was looking back at some of the stages you've done well in that have, you know, real high altitude. So last year, Tour de France, Col de la Loze, 2,300 meters. But Tour of Utah, you mentioned that there, these climbs are ridiculous. So Snowbird, 2,500 meters. Guardsman Pass, which is almost 3,000 meters above sea level. What is the highest you have raced or trained at?
Highest I've raced at trained at would be Mount Evans. So that's 4,000 something, 14,000 feet. So how many meters is that?
That's a question for Google.
Yeah. I believe somewhere around 4,000 something.
And what's it like to race at 4,000? Can you breathe? I mean, what, or train hard?
Not really. I think when you're really used to it, it just kind of all your standards change, if that makes sense, for what feels low and what feels really high. But for me, when I was growing up and doing mountain bike races at a ski area in Colorado, the base elevation is 3,000 meters. So you're already going anaerobic from the get-go, and then you just hang on.
Do you know this climb?
I do. Yeah, I rode it the other week, just in training, and I also did it in 2018, but I think I was dropped in the first few K. So
it starts super steep. Yeah.
Yep.
There's no, well, I've highlighted the last 10 kilometers, which averages 7.6%. You are climbing a little bit before that point, but then I think maybe the last time we were here, a team went really hard early on and blew the peloton to pieces. So the bottom, going straight into a hard section, is that more difficult?
It depends. I mean, for me, I like it. You just start off with a hard effort, and it kind of spreads out the group. And I think on this climb, when it's more in the trees and in the switchbacks, it's pretty covered from the wind, and that's maybe one of the big factors on this climb is where the wind's coming from, because towards the end it's pretty open in there.
Current forecast, not too windy, but a very small headwind. So if it stays like that, that'll be good news. At the top, we've got these series of hairpin bends, which look tremendous. And I think the last time we were here, Adam Yates took the win from a select group of 5 riders. It really is a difficult climb, yeah?
Yep. Yeah, really tough. Like you said, hard from the beginning. Tough finish at altitude, so not much punch left in the legs. Longer stage, not crazy climbs before, but actually a lot of the roads before in the middle of this stage I know pretty well, and it's not easy. It's always you always have to press on the pedals.
And I think it was snowing last week at some point, but current forecast seems okay. I mean, this stage, both mountain stages can be cancelled due to bad weather. We've seen that in the past, but fingers crossed. Plan. Stage 4, Port. Well,
Portenay.
An A. There we go. I knew it. I was right having you on. So Portenay, I've again trying to do my research on this. So the last time both climbs were in the same edition of this race was way back in 2013. Okay, so they try sometimes usually not to have this. I don't know if it's because it's too hard. They love the La Molina climb. But back in 2013, we had both stages, again, back to back. What is the significance of having the two big stages, one after each other?
I think after the first mountain stage, maybe guys will be a bit more tired or kind of know where they're at, and then immediately you have the next stage, and then you have maybe a lot of guys that have nothing to lose and maybe attack a bit earlier on Canto or something, but we'll see.
So we've got, I mean, there'll be big gaps obviously after stage 3. We have a perfect launch pad for the morning break to go here. I think we've got a small climb, small he says, it's about 4K, 8%, I think the end of it. So if a team wants to let the stage victory go, then it could go to a strong breakaway. The stage is just full of climbing. The second climb, I think, is categorized at about 20 odd kilometers at 4%. So this is not an easy day. The stage before, nice and flat, one big climb. This stage, 3 tough climbs, and then we get to the big one at the end. Again, it starts off difficult, and it is 18.4 kilometers at 6.4%. Again, this is one you've climbed before, is it?
Yep. Yeah, I've done, well, Canto especially a lot, and also the first climb up from Toses a lot in training. And then Portenay I've done a few times as well in training. So it's really irregular, a lot of different changes in pavement too. Steep sections, and it flattens out, then it's steep. And the last 2K or 1K is actually really quite steep.
I'm glad you mentioned the changes in road surface. That's a really good point. Often, if you've got a climb that has a poor road surface, it feels much harder to climb. Yeah.
It's there's sections where it's almost kind of gravel, and then like that picture. Yeah. and then you get on under speed part, and you think, okay, I've got good legs, and then you go on to another shit part, and then it doesn't go so easy.
Well, it's not the nicest climb in the world, is it? Now, on paper, it's easier than Volta 2000. What do you think? Is it easier?
Yeah, I think it's easier, but the stage as a whole is definitely tough.
And we've seen previous editions, sides of the road covered in snow, and the riders just bashing straight up through the middle. Again, the weather forecast seems quite good at this point. Obviously, things can change. But fingers crossed we get both mountain stages, because it's going to be a fantastic race with them being back to back. Then we have stage 5, and sprinters will be getting slightly excited until they see the climb at the end, and then it will break their little hearts. So for me, this looks like perfect breakaway territory. We've got a climb here at the end, which is approximately, it's about 7 or 8 kilometers at about kind of 6.5%. So too hard for sprinters. You think that's a breakaway day?
I think so. Yeah, with a pretty decent climb from the start. Montserrat, it's kind of a bigger road climb, so definitely it's easier for guys to hang on, but it's also it's not an easy climb either, so it's kind of half and half.
Okay, and then we have the one stage for the sprinters to tease them to the start line and endure a week of suffering and pain. Stage 6, I'm sure the sprinters would have preferred a nice, easy-ish stage on stage 1, but that should be
easy enough
stage. And then that's a stage, and then we finish with the normal stage in Barcelona, the laps of Mount Juic, except this year, at long last, there has been a change.
Double Black Diamond edition.
Yeah. So not only do we have the two hellish mountains, but we also have a harder lap circuit in Barcelona. So normally we have this bit here, which is okay, and then the road, I think, bends round to the right. But this year, the organisers have decided that we're going to go all the way up and visit, I think there's a castle at the top. Is this right?
I think so, yeah.
So we've got this little, it's about a kilometre, but the real nasty stuff, I think we've got about 700 metres at something like 12%, which is nice. Have you been up this way?
I have, yeah, just once.
Did you get lost?
Actually, no, I've only been in a car, so
it looks tough. I mean,
yeah,
11,
that's a wall.
10. I mean, you've got how many laps? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 laps of this, and then you're coming up here, and it ramps up again, 15.7%.
Yeah. You know it's bad if there's a cable car on the
yeah. So you get to the very top, and there we go. There's the cable car station, and then we go on the descent and we rejoin where the race normally goes through. So normally the final stage, you don't see gaps between the main GC guys. This year, obviously, the organisers are hoping maybe for something a little bit different. So the race isn't over until the very end.
Yeah, I think it's a tough circuit with that many laps on a climb that steep. It's probably pretty tough to control with it being that technical as well. It's not going to be a parade lap by any means. So
now Jumbo Visma come into the race with a very strong team. So you've got yourself, Jos Bennett, Steven Kruijswijk. I suppose the thing which everybody wants to know is how do you sort out team leadership?
I think the first thing will be just the TT, see how we come out of that. Yeah, Stevie did a really good TT in Paris-Nice. So I think if he's in a similar position like he was in that race, you know, we can afford to be a bit more defensive maybe in the later stages. But also if you look at the start list of this race, it's every team with more or less their best climbers. So in the end, it's going to be decided in the mountains. So we have guys to cover pretty much every situation, I think.
Yeah, because we're going to see a continuation of possibly what was the story of last season, where you guys wrestled control from Ineos. Cycling fans, we've been here for a long time. We've watched Sky and Ineos dictate mountain stages for years now, and it was really good to see for the sport somebody else come in and doing that. So last season, obviously, it was Tour de Lane, where he's come back up from altitude, and you wrestle control from Ineos. And this race, you've got you three guys. There's also some more talent in the team, obviously. Ineos arrive. They've got Adam Yates, Richard Carapaz, Geraint Thomas. They're not messing about either. It's one hell of a race, yeah?
Definitely. Yeah, I think we'll see how important the team strength is on this race. Like we said, the last stage it could be crazy. The stage to Pordenay could also be, you can risk a bit more maybe, but yeah, definitely a quality field.
And what's it like? I mean, I think I've asked you this previously in an interview. You are in that mountain train. You're normally last man if Primoz is behind you. There must be some level of satisfaction when the boys do the job and you turn around and there's like 5 guys and you still have 3 or 4. I mean, what is it? Is it satisfaction? Is it what's that feel like?
Yeah, it's nice. I think it's not like you're competing with each other, but all your teammates are on that level, and then you want to contribute your best, because they are as well. So, everybody has their role and can kind of gauge themselves against everybody that they've been training with and doing all these training camps with all season and racing with. And then, you just kind of have that sense of each other's limits.
And after this race, what's coming up next for you? Did I see Romandy on your
Yep.
And then Tour?
Then Dauphiné.
Romandy Dauphiné Tour.
Yeah.
Some small races,
Only the small ones.
And when you
sandbagging.
When you watch Paris-Nice and you see Primoz starting the season so strong.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've been on camp with him, it wouldn't come as a surprise to you, but how does that make you feel in advance of Tour de France? Because obviously that's got to be one of the main team goals this season, is to try and win the yellow jersey.
Oh, for me, it's really motivating. I mean, when he can hit the ground running, which, that's what you expect of him, just because he can come out just flying and hold that level for a long time. For me, it's nice to see that he's always has the fighting spirit and he's hungry right from the beginning. He's not just saying, we'll take it easy this spring and wait for the bigger races. It's everything to go for it each day, and that's as a helper, that's nice to work for someone like that.
Now, a lot of talk this season about you making that step up. We've watched you over the last 2-3 years develop fantastically well, from getting your ass kicked in Basque Country to being the best climbing domestique in the world, being there consistently at the end, Tour de France, Vuelta. This season, we've talked about you moving into more of a leadership role in some races. Obviously, that's not an easy process. You don't just turn up and all of a sudden you're a team leader. What are the things you need to learn in order to help you make that next step up?
Yeah, I think it's not going to happen in a year, or it's hard to put a timeline to it. But I think for me, the biggest adjustment I need to make is just the mental side, just being more focused. Because when you are a leader and you are in that position where you're one of the guys that everyone's looking at, you can't just sit in the back. You can't have those lapses of concentration, really, where you could potentially lose the race. Whereas if you're just a helper, you can really switch off a lot of times. So for me, just getting used to being more upfront, better positioned, focused. And that takes time. It's not easy to do. It takes a lot of energy to do that. But I think for me, that's a big area.
Because that's an interesting point, because some fans of the sport think it's just you turn up one day as a domestique and you turn up the next day and you can win Tour de France. And it's not. There's a massive learning curve. I assume you're quite a good student of the sport. I mean, do you look at things that, say, Primoz does, but not only him, but other teams? You look at some of the tricks that maybe like a movie star get up to in a Grand Tour in the Vuelta. Are you constantly looking to learn from others?
Yeah, I think for me, the best is just to be actually riding in those situations, because I love to watch races and see how things play out. But it's always a bit different seeing it play out on TV and actually being in that moment, because in the finals everything happens so fast, and at that level you have to know exactly what to do, more or less, at the right time, and also be confident enough to know that you're making the right move or whatever. So it's for me, just being, for example, with Primoz in the finals is really valuable, seeing how he approaches the races.
I will not name the rider, but I was once told by somebody who was trying to learn how to be a leader, that in the pack he just used to watch Valverde. So when Valverde put on his jacket, he put on his jacket. When Valverde had some food and drink, he had some food and drink.
Yeah.
And you see Movistar. I'm thinking back to the Vuelta last season where there was not an incident, but Roglic was dropped on the descent, and then I can't remember the name of the climb, but he lost a bit of time that day. I think maybe it was to do with putting was he trying to put his jacket on? And,
yeah, I was with him. We were both trying to put our jackets on.
But I mean, things like that. I mean, luckily you've been through that experience not as a leader.
Yeah,
it's about learning, isn't it?
Exactly, because I think that day I lost 10 minutes and he only lost a minute or so. So if I was the guy, then
so he can make up that ground. Maybe put your jacket on early. Is that the advice?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Right. Well, Sepp, thank you very much. Looking forward to seeing your race this week.
Thanks, David.
Hopefully it goes well for you and we see you up there fighting for the win.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. Good chatting with you.